Hello. What a great honor to advance into the second round of Megamind. I am privileged to share this stage with many other talented clinicians who share the same passion and striving for the same excellence. Now, it was a struggle for me to get to this stage. I had to redo my presentation multiple times and practice over many nights, but I know it was all worth it. Now, for those of you who I have pleasure of meeting for the first time, my name is Jung. I am a practicing general dentist and a father of a 4-year-old daughter. And that pretty much sums up my life. That's because these 2 full-time jobs keeps me busy on a daily basis. Now, I practice in Vancouver of Canada. I hope you all have a chance to visit this town. It's a beautiful city with dynamic culture and a beautiful nature. And I am one of those lucky enough to eat, sleep, and practice dentistry here. We all struggle. The challenges that our lives throw at us are relentless and always keeps us busy. And this competition is a good example of that. Now, there are other people who choose to ignore and avoid the hardship, but I am different. I choose to accept and fight through these challenges. And it's not just me. There are others who would do the same, who would choose to fight. And it is because we choose to embrace these challenges that we are able to advance and grow into our next level. So during my first round of Megamind, I shared my personal struggle. The struggle of growing as an implantologist, implementing immediate implant therapy into our practice, and overcoming my fear. And so I like to continue on this theme, and I want to for my second round of Megamind, I want to share the struggle that we all share as an implantologist, the challenges that we are facing today. Now, have you guys seen this match? It's Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. I don't follow boxing, but this one was very hard to ignore because it was touted the fight of the century. It gained a lot of attention because these are 2 best boxers going against each other, and also these 2 boxers had 2 completely opposite styles of boxing. Floyd Mayweather was a very defensive outboxer, while Manny Pacquiao was aggressive inboxer. And so situation was where it was sort of like an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force. So now, I don't know if you realize this or not, we as an implantologist are also fighting through the fight of the century. And we are placed into the boxing cage with our opponent. And this opponent is stealthy and silent and can land a hard punch if you're not be careful. And this opponent I'm talking about is alveolar resorption. Now, you've all seen these. It's the collapse of the ridge after the tooth extraction. We've seen it daily in our practices. Now, after the tooth is removed, we know that alveolar bone undergoes an irreversible resorption that changes the topography of the ridge permanently. And this is significant, and the data shows that even in the first 6 months, there are significant changes of 3.8 in width and 1.5 millimeters in height. And this is significant enough to negatively impact our implant position, aesthetic outcome, and long-term success. So we invented different surgical techniques to try to overcome this. We try to do immediate implant therapy. We do dual zone grafting, CTG, GPR, you name it. Now, all these techniques work to a certain extent, but it's still quite not the same because we are not able to eliminate the alveolar resorption completely. We still are not able to replicate 100% of true biology. So despite all our efforts, we still see these. How many of you guys seen this in your practice? It's nightmare, isn't it? And it's almost always on the buccal. Why does this happen to us? Well, to answer that question, we need to circle back to biology. The buccal almost always shows most resorption. And it's because, not because it's the thin buccal plate, it's because it's primarily made out of bundle bone. And what is this bundle bone? Well, the bundle bone is the bone characterized by presence of Sharpie's fiber, or in our case, PDL, periodontal ligaments. So when the tooth is removed, the PDL goes out with it. Now, you may think the PDL doesn't serve much purpose, but within those couple microns, there relies a very important blood supply to this buccal plate. And as you know, the the biology rule says no blood supply, no biological tissue. So once the tooth is removed, PDL goes as well, blood supply is disconnected, and bundle bone resorbs away. So we simply cannot recreate the original bundle bone without recreating this PDL. And none of our surgical techniques can recreate PDL. So going back to our boxing match, if you don't know, Floyd Mayweather was the ultimate winner. And his winning strategy lied in his defensive, preventing the punches from ever hitting him in the first place. We tried being Pacquiao. We tried throwing different surgical techniques into the site to try to win against this alveolar resorption. But maybe it's time to change our tactics. What if we can employ Mayweather's tactic, a defensive play? What if we can stop the alveolar resorption from happening in the first place? Well, if you think about it, the answer is actually simple. Following the biological rule, we must prevent the PDL from being removed, which means we must not take out the tooth. But how can we do that? We're supposed to place an implant in that site, right? Well, I'll tell you how. We can unpack it using our case today. Meet Rick. He's a really nice guy, but unfortunately I don't see him very often as his work schedule is very erratic and keeps him very busy. He works in the film industry, and so he's surrounded by movie stars. He's well self-conscious about his broken lateral incisor. So it was very important for him to get this tooth back as soon as possible with the best aesthetic outcome. The upper right lateral incisor was broken right at the gum lines, and due to its short root, it was hard to salvage it with ortho extrusion or crown lengthening. So the best treatment plan was developed for dental implants. Now, as we already discussed, tackling this case with conventional method of removing the whole tooth will make sure that bundle bone resorbs away, which will lead to less than ideal outcome. So, how can we do this better? Fortunately, back in 2010, the socket shield technique was first introduced, and this was the defensive strategy that we needed. It was our Mayweather. To prevent aesthetic defeat, we must not allow the bundle bone to resorb in the first place. And socket shield technique does just that. It demands separation of the root into the buccal and palatal halves, where palatal half is removed to create room for the implant, and the buccal half is preserved, thereby preserving the PDL, the blood supply, and the buccal plate. And since its introduction, it's standardized under the umbrella of partial extraction therapy. And the data shows that it's comparable survival rate with conventional implant, and also a very minimal change, volumetric change of the buccal contour post-extraction. Now, this surgical technique is very challenging. Not only does it demand for us to atraumatically remove a whole tooth, now we have to atraumatically remove half a tooth. And not only that, on top of that, we need to do the implant surgery so precisely it has a specific distance away from the shield, gaining enough stability, and also without compromising the prosthetic outcome. Now, these technical challenges can be overcome with years of practice and experience. But unfortunately, I don't have those years of practice and experience. And I don't think my patient wants to wait those years. So what can we do? Well, we employ the tools out there, the best tools out there to help us. So first, R2Gate digital guide was utilized. Now, as considered as one of the most precise guides available, I use this R2Gate a lot in my surgeries. Now, this time was very special because I have decided to make two guides. One for implant osteotomy and one for shield preparation. And second, we use a special kit from Megagen. It's called the PET kit. And this kit contains specially designed drills that helps us efficiently and effectively prepare the shield. And all you need to do is follow the sequence in the kit. Now, using the guide and the kit, the shield preparation is done. The guide helps us to drive the drill down to the middle of the tooth along the long axis of the tooth, thereby coring out the middle of the tooth. Now, once the core is disconnected, it's removed, which allows us to prepare the shield efficiently. Following the PET kit, the shield is prepared, and this is what the shield looks like. Now, during the preparation, I must take care not to move the shield and loosen it, because once we do, then we are going to lose that PDL and the blood supply. Now, the next step, the second guide is used, and the R2 gauge surgical kit is used through it. Sequentially, the osteotomy is performed, and now it's time to place the implant. Now, we need an implant with features that helps us to best perform in immediate implant situation. So naturally, Megagen's Blue Diamond is selected as it has all these features that we're looking for. So now we place Blue Diamond 3.3 by 13, and due to these features, we are able to achieve an insertion torque of 45 and ISQ of 69. Thanks to these tools, and we are able to perform a precise surgery, and I was able to gain sufficient stability for immediate loading. Temporary crown was fabricated, and I was able to give back the patient with a tooth on that same day. Now, although it might not be perfectly matching with the neighbor teeth, the patient was thrilled with the result. Now, when the patient came back for his 2 weeks post-op follow-up, he only reported minimal discomfort for the first few days and overall very satisfied with the result. Now, I was also ecstatic to see beautiful result because I already noticed that mesial papilla being filled in. And as predicted by Tarnow's research, when the interproximal bone and the bundle bone has kept alive with the shield. After waiting for a month for sufficient osseointegration, patient was recalled back to do an assessment for a final prosthetic phase. And as you can see, a well-maintained buccal contour thanks to that shield and the intact PDL, and also a beautiful emergence profile created from the temporary crown. The final prosthetic was created with a custom titanium abutment with anodization and a zirconia crown following these literatures. Angulated screw channel was utilized to create an ideal cingulum axis. And once the prosthetic went in, patient was ecstatic at the result, and I was as well. Now, this socket shield technique is our best defensive to the inevitable alveolar resorption. By keeping the important PDL alive with the shield, we are able to preserve the blood supply that's supporting the facial plate, and thus winning the battle against biology and giving us the most ideal aesthetic outcome for our patient. So recently, this patient came back to our office for his regular cleaning and checkups, and I was able to do a 1-year follow-up. And this result speaks for itself. Beautifully maintained buccal contour and the bone level, all thanks to this little tiny shield that's present on that CT. The outcome from socket shield is undeniable and unmatched to anything that we've seen before in the maintenance of peri-implant tissue. Tough times don't last, tough people do. That's what Mayweather had once said. And today I like to paraphrase him. Tough bones don't last, tough tooth do. The socket shield technique has given us the edge that we never had before. This tough tooth and this little tough shield is our ultimate victory against alveolar resorption. Now, we may have other challenges ahead of us. Biology always likes to throw us off, but we are implantologists. Let's be implantologists that fights through the war against edentulosism together. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Thank you for all.